So welcome to the Anti-Guru series. My name's John McDermott. I'm a chartered town planner, a property educator and developer. Let's get into this subject of serviced accommodation. Now, we've all seen videos showing us just how great serviced accommodation could be, the amazing cash flowing strategy that allows you to turn your house or flat into effectively a hotel room. The videos are very persuasive. You too can make a massive cash flow from a single property, and that it's easy to set up, simple and straightforward. You charge by the night or the week. You don't have tenants to worry about, they're just hotel guests. You're not chasing the rent. In the main, you're being paid up front for a room for a night, and when it comes for that guest to leave, it's easy for you to get rid of them. Serviced accommodation is always packaged with buzzwords like financial freedom and super passive. What they don't tell you is what we're going to go into here on this Anti-Guru video. Now, this is part of the reason why we've put the Anti-Guru series together. We want to tell you all of the facts associated with running a serviced accommodation type property development business. So this is what you're not told. Unless you've really got your systems worked out, serviced accommodation is not passive. It is an active property management strategy, and the operative word there is management. You have to let tenants in or guests in, check them out, make sure you're getting paid. You're effectively running a hotel. SA is subject to so many different regulations. If you're running a guest house, you're subject to fire safety and the hotelier's regs. If you're running it as an HMO, you're subject to the HHSRS. If you're running it as pure SA, then you're subject to all of those things. Again, you have to know the rules in the game that you're playing. And then there's planning permission. Yes, planning permission. A growing number of boroughs and districts are using London's 90-day rule to require you to make a planning application. London's 90-day rule is very simple. If you use a residential home for more than 90 days in any calendar year for short-term accommodation like Airbnb or Booking.com, then you require planning permission. The use of the 90-day rule is growing on a weekly basis. Places as diverse as Portsmouth, Bournemouth, Blackpool and Oxford have introduced a form of the 90-day rule in order to take control of Airbnb and Booking.com. It's simply not the case that you can freely change a property into serviced accommodation without consent. Now, I'm not going to tell you that serviced accommodation is all bad. What I am going to say is to play the game, you need to learn the rules of the game. To play the game well, you need to know where those rules can be broken or bent. That is how we get serviced accommodation to work. And sometimes knowing the rules is better than just fudging the system. So what I want to do is boil this down into 5 simple tips for looking at an SA business as a viable development strategy. Now, these tips are taken from real examples, real world experiences of our clients running an SA business. And the first one is obvious: learn the rules. You're going to be playing the game, you may as well know which end you need to score in. So speak to your local housing team, speak to your local planning teams, look at the regulations for serviced accommodation and really understand the game you're about to play. Expect the unexpected, and there's no one better to tell you about that than an actual SA operator. Don't go to a guru seminar and expect it to all be rosy with 100% occupancy. Speak to people who are actually operating the strategy. Ask to see their turnover. Ask to see their occupancy rate. Really understand the problems they have faced, because when you know the problems, you can work on a solution. build an SA model that works specifically in your area. SA in London is very different to SA in Durham. They have very different clientele and very different expectations. There are certain areas you simply can't do SA in without planning permission. You can't do SA up in Scotland without the right consent, and the same over in Wales. They're very different areas. Build a model that works where you're at. Above all, be honest. If you're going to be doing rent to SA, you need to tell your landlord. They need to make sure their mortgage can handle that form of development. You also need to tell your mortgage company if you're going to be doing an SA type development. They may very well have covenants on your buy-to-let mortgage that prevents it. You need that check. And finally, it's not all about the hype. If you need help, reach out and speak to your friendly neighbourhood chartered property professional, and speak to professionals who have the correct insurance and backing by their industry. As chartered town planners, we are protected, and we protect you under the RTPI code. Utilise those chartered professionals to help you. Now, don't get me wrong, serviced accommodation can be brilliant. It can be amazing, and it can make non-cash flowing property cash flow very, very well. But what you have to do is make sure that you're operating it safely, securely, and that it's your tenants, your guests, that are your first and last priority. You've been watching The Anti-Guru. See you soon.